Hello, everyone. It's so nice to be back. Today's episode launches our 2025 season of Wright Virtual Visits. I, of course, am Anna Kaplan, Executive Director of Frank Lloyd Wright's Great Cliff, coming to you live from Western New York. Today, I'm actually on site at Great Cliff, and my office these days happens to be in one of our historic houses. I'm feeling fortunate to be coming to you live from this special Wright space today. I'll be your host as we travel down south to Florida Southern College in Lakeland, Florida. But before we start, I'd like to acknowledge and express sincere gratitude to my colleague, Eric Rogers of the Frank Lloyd Wright Building Conservancy. It's largely because of Eric's hard work, dedication, and patience that we are able to continue to offer this program. This season, we also have added Elisha Marin to our team, who we met through his involvement with the Historic Park Inn in Mason City. And though you won't see his face today, Eric is hard at work behind the scenes, and he will be monitoring Facebook activity and will be attentive to any questions you may have. So, as always, we encourage you to please add questions and comments directly to the Facebook thread, and we will be sure to catch those and incorporate them into the Q&A portion of today's program. I'd also like to express enormous gratitude to Allison and Charlie Grant at ACG Productions for their continued in-kind support of our program. We're able to keep this program going now in our 6th consecutive season. Can you believe it? Because of the commitment from ACG Productions. ACG is a full-service video production company dedicated to helping businesses, nonprofits, families, and couples share their stories with heart and creativity. They offer a wide variety of services, including brand storytelling, mission videos, wedding photography, legacy films, and so much more. So, no matter the project, they create videos that stand out and make a difference. Please consider them for your personal and professional media needs. Thanks again to Allison, Charlie, and the entire ACG team. Today, we are joined by the wonderful Jack Coffey, Manager of Tours and Educational Programming at Florida Southern College. And many thanks to his colleague, Tori King, who was very helpful in the organization of today's episode. Jack is a pro at this, and you may remember him from our 2023 season when we featured Florida Southern and specifically the Annie Pfeiffer Chapel. That episode can be streamed with all past episodes available at savewright.org/WVV. You may recall from that episode that Florida Southern College has a vast campus that contains 13 Wright design buildings and is the world's largest single-site collection of Wright's architecture for a single client, as well as his only executed design for a college campus. So essentially, we could focus an entire season on just Florida Southern alone. Today, we will be exploring spaces we have not yet featured on our program, including the Polk Science Building and recently restored Planetarium, which is a real treat. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic along to Jack, who will be sharing with us both pre-recorded and live footage from Florida Southern. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Anna. So good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name's Jack. I'm manager of tours here at Florida Southern, and I'm here with you today to talk about our Polk County Science Building, which I'm in the central hall of right now. Now, the Science Building is Wright's largest single structure on our campus. Frank Lloyd Wright designed, again, 13 buildings. We have about 200,000 square feet of Wright's design here at Florida Southern. And the Science Building takes up about a quarter of that square footage. It's 50,000 square feet on its own. Now, we're going to show some B-roll here of the exterior of the building. And what you're going to find is not only is it a very large building, you can see Frank Lloyd Wright's esplanade integrate into it. That's his longest covered walkway system, but it integrates into the facades of the buildings. It's not only a very long, large structure, but it also has two very different aesthetic languages. This side of the building that you're seeing right now is all uh, looks very much like Wright's other buildings on the campus. It's esplanade columns, it's textile blocks, if you're familiar with those from sites like the Arizona Biltmore, the Ennis House, the La Miniature, the Millard House. It's meant to blend in with the rest of the campus's architecture. But then the east-facing side of the building makes it Wright's most unorthodox design for the college, with aluminum columns. This is a very rare instance of aluminum for Wright. In fact, those pillars you can see down below are his first ever use of aluminum for ornamentation in his whole career chronologically. And then these repeating layers of metal and glass. The client, Dr. Lloyd, the president of the college, saw a vested interest in terms of appeal to new students of having the science building look visibly the most high-tech building on the entire campus. So that's the reason why this building has kind of a split personality like it does. It's a very, very unique building. I often like to say it's fitting that the science building is Wright's most experimental design on the campus. Now, just a heads up as well, this is an actively used academic building. It is one of just two Frank Lloyd Wright designed buildings out there with laboratories being an intended function, the other being the S.C. Johnson Company headquarters. And pardon the noise, but it's also still actively used for lecture halls, faculty offices, and the like. But again, this is still a worked in, lived in building. Our labs are still labs, our classrooms are still classrooms, and it is getting close to finals time. It still is an active academic space, so you might have a bit of noise in the background. You might see students walking behind me. It still is actively used for its intended function. Now, as I go ahead and start kind of making my way down the hallway here, the central hallway of the building, the hallway here all leads into the laboratories of the campus. You might get a little bit of a sensation of the Marin County Civic Center here. This building is often seen as a precursor to Marin County in a lot of ways. These doors on the opposite side of the hall, kind of back by where I was staying, lead into the laboratories, both today and in Wright's plans. These are all original doorways. The hallway here is broken up into two levels with these beautiful light wells that kind of uh, go straight up through the second floor of the building, bringing beautiful natural light down, as well as tons of, as well as originally with the lack of air conditioning, it allowed for the air to circulate up from this lower hall up and out through the clerestories that you can see on the hall. Quite a bit since Frank Lloyd Wright. We do still have a few vintage pieces on display over here. We're going to roll some B-roll of the labs here. So to show you what one of these active science labs does look like. And I did notice that my video cut out. This is also a concrete building, lots of heavy equipment going on inside. So again, if there's connection issues, I do apologize. Now, one of the things that I really do like to feature about the science labs is that the amount of natural light that Frank Lloyd Wright kind of allotted for. Uh, so he wanted these labs to be filled with natural light for the students working within. None of these fixtures are original, though. We've had to swap them out with new just to keep it as a practical, functional laboratory. We should have a vintage photo as well that kind of showcases what those labs look like back in the day. So there you can see what the actual setup of that same exact room was like back as Frank Lloyd Wright designed it. Again, it's all had to be swapped out though to keep this a practical lab building. Now, one of the things that's often pointed out though about this hallway is the fact that it's divided into these two different sides, with the side that I've been on being compressed, being released with this higher ceiling, and then the other side being kind of shrunk down. It's low. It's 6'9" ceiling height. If you can imagine, our basketball teams don't care for this building too much. They have to do a lot of ducking around here. But this is really just because of traffic flow. These doors lead into the labs behind me. The so the students back in the day are going to be waiting outside their labs while the professors prepare the laboratory environment. They're going to get dressed up in their lab coats, their goggles, their gloves, all in the hall. The other side of the hall, then, the compressed side, is more just for traffic flow. It was originally home as well to tons of faculty offices, tons of gallery space for displaying research results and class experiments, as well as lecture halls. Today, it's all faculty offices. It's the only part of the building that's been kind of repartitioned and changed to a new function. Now, you can see these really cool aluminum columns, kind of almost Art Deco looking in their overall effect. This is a close-up look at those aluminum pillars that you saw on the outside area of the hall. The columns here are really sleek. Again, a lot of people compare them to the Chrysler building. Very unique for Frank Lloyd Wright. Now, we're going to be heading upstairs here. And I just want to point out the railing of the stairwell as we go up. Wright often designs kind of stairwell railings like this all throughout the campus. So this is all Cherokee red painted steel, and it is really something that you can find all throughout our buildings here at Florida Southern. Now, the arrangement is the same up here on the second floor of the building. We have faculty offices on this side, laboratories on the other side. In the 90s, OSHA did require us to raise the guard wall up here, and you can see safety glass is what was chosen to preserve Frank Lloyd Wright's design. And that brings me to the ventilation tubes that you can see kind of running throughout the building as well. You may have noticed that just elephant on the roof, so to speak, in the B-roll that we showed at the start of the video. That was all added as a requirement of keeping this in use of a as a lab building. And it was added in 1999. It's required by both OSHA and the EPA. If you want to know what the space looked like before these tubes were implemented, though, literally just imagine them away. Just they were, as little of the building was changed as possible. And we do have a vintage photo as well of the exterior of this building without that ventilation on the roof that we can kind of flash up here uh, to show you what it looked like beforehand as well. The So there's an aerial view, and you can kind of see the roof was basically the same. It just did not have all of those pipes and those tubes up there on the roof. It is a short-term goal of our restoration program to get that system off the roof and out of the building. But for the time being, it is still, we have to build a new science building first before we can do that. Now, as we walk down the hall to our planetarium here, we can show some photos of the exterior of the building there. This is at the far southern end of the building. Has a lot more curves, this half circle motif. You can all to pair with the dome up on the roof. This is very much in line with Marin County and some of Wright's later very curvy work where he starts getting into curves and domes and the like. And this building, again, kind of seems like it's a bit of a precursor to that earlier work. Now with that, wrong way, wrong way. We have arrived in the planetarium itself. Now, this is the world's only Frank Lloyd Wright designed planetarium. And again, it is recently restored. The planetarium is a bit of a bonus feature for the building. This is not something that Florida Southern kind of asked for. It's not something that the college had on its list of needs from the building. This is something that Wright just included on his own. He wanted to, he felt that having this would add to the scientific education within the building. Uh, and Dr. Spivey, the president of the college, agreed and said, sure, we'll put it in. Uh, it is one of several planetarium designs that Wright conceived throughout his career, but it is, at the same time, it is the only one that got built. And Wright seemed to have been pretty committed to having a planetarium of his design built at somewhere in the world. His very first one was famously a mountaintop planetarium in the 20s to be built on Sugarloaf Mountain in Maryland. But project fell through, and Wright designed planetariums for a number of other projects as well that never got built. My favorite of which being his opera house in Baghdad, which he crammed a little planetarium into the basement of. But here at Florida Southern, they actually did build the building and built the planetarium with it. Now, this is also the most recently restored space on the campus. We wrapped up our full architectural restoration of this space last year. So we can flash up a few, courtesy of photographer Andrew Peelage, we can flash up a few photos of this room showing it pre-restoration before we restored it. All of the paint choices that you see in the space, all of the lighting, the darkness of it, the extra partitions, those were all implemented in the 80s, just kind of on a whim. So this space has been restored fully to Wright's design. The paint colors are restored, extra partitions removed and the like. There's a lot of open space around the dome that's been restored, creating a much warmer, brighter, and more open space than your typical planetarium would really have. I also want to call out the original planetarium seats in the space as well. These are Wright's original seats for the planetarium. They are plywood with vinyl cushions. A lot of people comment that these might just be some of the most comfortable seats Frank Lloyd Wright ever designed. But the he allows for a nice recline and a cushioned headrest so you can comfortably stare up into the dome and watch the show. Now, while the planetarium is architecturally restored, we were fundraising for a new projector for the space still. The current projector that you see here, this is from the 1980s, and it is broken. It is not functioning, and it is not something that we can very easily bring back into working order in the space as it is. So we're going to be replacing it. And while there is no official announcement on when this will be back up and running as a planetarium, I'd say keep your eyes peeled because it's probably going to happen very, very soon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab a seat in these seats and just kind of talk about a few of the other things that we have going on here at Florida Southern. We do have our 7 days a week guided architecture tours as well on the campus. So so 7 days a week, we're closed 4 days out of the year, barring any hurricanes, of course. We also currently have restoration ongoing in our Annie Pfeiffer Chapel. So that's something too that the college is, they just started some much needed restoration work on the ceiling and roof of the building in order to get it back up to how Frank Lloyd Wright, in order to get it watertight again. It's had some issues with leaks, as Frank Lloyd Wright's known for. So we're hoping that this new work will, get it much more sealed up long term. Now, again, we did a virtual visit on that back in 2023. So you're welcome to go back and watch that if you'd like a tour of that magnificent space. Now, we also just announced that we're starting a School of Architecture. So we have a concept rendering that will be in Mr. Wright's Ordway building, which is not something that we've covered on virtual visit before, but it was a former trades building of his design. It's going to get some restoration work this summer going into the fall. The first classes, that's a concept rendering of the originally a massive trades workshop in the building that's going to become a fully fledged architectural drafting studio with many of its ideas modeled on Frank Lloyd Wright's own apprenticeship program, his School of Architecture at Taliesin West. A lot of its ideas and its curriculum are going to be modeled on teaching organic design, teaching things kind of how Frank Lloyd Wright's apprentices learned back in the day and how students of the School of Architecture continue to learn to this day. We also are getting ready to open a new exhibition in partnership with Lakeland's local art museum, the Barnett Museum of Art, that's associated with Florida Southern College. So they're opening a massive exhibition on the Wright campus this summer. So we have lots of cool and exciting things going on here in the near future.
Jack, that's really impressive. So much to update us on.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
It's been exciting. So thank you.
So you answered the first question that I have for you, which was, how can one visit the campus without enrolling in classes? So you mentioned, the 7 days a week guided tours, but what's the process for purchasing tickets? How does that work?
So you can go on our website, which is flsouthern.edu/FLLW, and make a reservation for a tour. You can also give us a call at 863-680-4597 and make a reservation. And then we don't do any prior payments, so a reservation is just that. But again, go online, sign up for a tour. Given we have so many buildings and so much to talk about, we have a variety of different tour options, different lengths, levels of detail, everything from just 20 to 30 minutes up to 3.5 hours that we give every week. So again, just go online there, give us a call, and we'll be happy to make a reservation for you.
Perfect. Thank you. We did have a question about the budget for the college. And, it seems like there was potentially an unlimited budget or at least, significant funding to allow this all to happen. Could you talk about how it came to be that, Wright was connected to this project and that, a large portion of his, vision was able to be achieved?
Yeah, so you would think that there was a large budget, but in reality, there really actually there was both no budget and there wasn't much of a budget at all. So Wright was hired in 1938 by the college's president, Dr. Lloyd Spivey. Spivey was a very interesting man. He was very ahead of his time for higher ed, very ambitious. Florida Southern was not prosperous as you would expect by them hiring Frank Lloyd Wright. They were a prosperous college during the Roaring '20s, but in the first 14 months of the Great Depression, they saw over 95% of their enrolled students just drop out. The only reason this place survived that is because of Dr. Spivey. He works tirelessly through the first half of the '30s just to keep the doors open. And at this point, when they're first hiring Wright in 1938, the college is doing better, but it still is nowhere near where it was pre-Great Depression, and they're nearly a decade in. So bringing Wright on board right after he had completed Falling Water, Taliesin and West, the S.C. Johnson Company were kind of under construction at that point, the first Usonian House. It was this whole idea of relaunching the place, build a college of tomorrow designed by the nation's most famous architect. Wright was given no budget for any of these buildings. He was simply asked to keep the college's finances in mind with his designs, but otherwise he could set his own budgets for all of this. The science building did have the highest budget. It was set by Wright at $1 million, but which was quite a sum in 1954, but that's knowing for lab equipment and classroom equipment, everything, planetarium projector, everything else that you need to pay for to get this huge 50,000 square foot building up and running. But then once the plans were delivered, the budget was stated, Dr. Spivey as president would go and get the money. They had quite kind of a partnership in that regard of Wright designing things and then Spivey somehow running the gauntlet of donors to find the money. The name Polk County Science Building, this is the only building of Wright's that got any funding from any government entity on the college. The county gave a nice six-figure grant to promote the STEM teaching in the local economy. All of the other funds raised for these buildings were built entirely through one-time donations from private individuals.
That's incredible.
Quite a
Um,
feat on Dr. Spivey's end.
yes. And were students involved in actual construction work?
So the first 5 buildings on our campus were built entirely by students.
Wow.
Those were the buildings built during the Great Depression and World War II. That was Wright's idea, have the students work for their education, as he kind of did with his apprentices at Taliesin and West, have them build, their own school buildings and, work on renovations and refurbishments. After World War II, with post-war prosperity, Spivey had substantially less student engagement in that program. So all the buildings built after World War II, including our science building, had some student involvement, but just in a more auxiliary role. This was primarily built by a professional construction crew and a
Mhm.
contractor.
So, someone on Facebook noted, all the flat roofs and wondering if, leaking is an issue these days or if it ever was.
Yeah, it's not a true Wright building on this campus unless it leaks, just putting it bluntly. But our restoration architect, Mr. Jeff Baker, has figured out a way to actually waterproof these buildings. It uses a kind of state-of-the-art roof membrane. I don't know exactly what it is, but it is been really successful. The planetarium did get that roof membrane installed during its restoration process, and we're looking to do that for the remainder of the buildings on the campus as well.
Awesome. Um, the question that I had, could you talk to us about the light in the planetarium?
Yeah, so the lighting on the outskirts is original and it's restored in that way. Again, it's very bright for your
Mhm.
typical planetarium. Normally, planetariums are very dark, kind of dimly lit spaces, even when you enter. And that's kind of something where I think Wright was going for something much more open, bright, and warm. Which is very much in line with his work. The lighting up in the dome itself is just a little something we added. That's a strip of LEDs, very subtly hidden kind of behind this little ledge up there, just to give more personality to the dome, especially while we're waiting for the new projector to be installed. So there will be no lighting up there. That's something that, again, we've done since, just as a little something special. there was a lot of very heavy-handed lighting installed in the 80s for the restoration that we've removed that kind of is in the same place as that LED strip. But the lighting around is original, and again, it's very warm and very bright.
Awesome. So, Jack, before we go, I noticed on social media that you have a new line of merchandise available. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, we have some brand new merch that was created by a local artist named Bldg. His work is featured all over town. He does regular graphic design. He's designed some murals that are around Lakeland. And he did a new T-shirt as well as a new tote bag that includes every single structure of Wright's on our campus.
Awesome.
And he's actually now working more of the kind of Frank Lloyd Wright inspired lines into his other work now that he's done this on the campus. He shared some stuff that he was working on, and he wants to bring more of that Wright representation around town. But you can find those new shirts and new tote bags on our online store. They're very popular so far, and I think that it's a great way to kind of represent the campus.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jack. This was really a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for featuring us. And I hope you all enjoyed taking a look at our science building.
We definitely did. So, before we conclude, I must advocate for experiencing Wright's architecture in person. While Wright Virtual Visits provides an excellent and very fun educational resource, nothing compares to physically standing in these spaces. I'm also going to advocate for bringing your kids along with you. Allison, if you could share that picture of my babies on the campus. I brought my own kids to experience Florida Southern on a spring break trip 3 years ago now. And we're having a little technical difficulty. I put it in the folder, Allison, if you find it, but if not, no problem. It was just a picture for attention. We had an awesome time. It was a very memorable experience for everyone involved. And so I highly recommend that, you get out there and visit these sites. We created this platform to inspire you to visit publicly accessible Wright sites. And by patronizing these sites, oh, there they are, my babies. So when you visit the sites and you bring your family, you not only experience Wright's genius firsthand, but through your patronage, you are ultimately supporting their preservation. So that's the end of my pitch. But this is just the beginning of a wonderful season we have in store for you, which includes spaces not yet featured on our program. So please stay in touch, and we hope to see you at our next episode on May 29th, which will take us back to SC Johnson in Racine, but to the fascinating Research Tower space. It will be a not to miss episode for sure. And just a reminder that recordings of this and all past episodes are ready to view at savewright.org/WVE. WVV, Wright Virtual Visits. Thank you for supporting our program, and we look forward to seeing you next time.